Morning, and we can go ahead and get started. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, David, I know you said you're only available till 9:30, so I want to try and get through as much of the agenda as we can. Do we have anybody for public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Everyone got the minutes from February an email that is sent out. Somebody want to make a motion to approve minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February.
All right,
Second.
all right. Cool. I've got the social media recap on here next. Lizzie, if you could run through that just really quickly. Like the other stuff that's on here, the BIP application for horseplay, I didn't actually receive it, so we'll just sort of ignore that. I'll leave it on for next month and wait until I get the materials from Annie Carey. Yeah, so we really only have 9 agenda items since that's not one that we're actually going to do. So yeah, Lizzie, I can stop screen sharing if you want to put up the slides.
Sure, that'd be great. All right. So I think I'm going to skip these first 2 slides about the Jarvis website, and we can come back to that at the end to fit with the agenda. So let's start by talking about Facebook and Instagram insights for the month of February. We saw an increase in our page reach on both Facebook and Instagram. There's like an odd cut over that 5, but I can fix that. There are ads like campaigns ads running. We showed you one with Lenise targeting an Evanston audience last week, and those are continuing to run. And then we have some boosted posts in here as well. The top post in February was a Factory Theater post about the reopening or remounting of Last Night in Karaoke Town, followed by Hip Circle. And then we did something for Chicago Black Restaurant Week, which also performed well. So you can see this reached 7,700 people with close to 200 reactions and 600 links or clicks. The Hip Circle post, close to 3,000 reach and 30 reactions and 90 clicks. We haven't done photography at Caribbean American Bakery, and maybe that's one to consider if we do more photography or if and when we do more photography. But we did snap this photo on our own at one point, and it performs well, and it's such a great place to promote. And then Super Bowl, which was the very beginning of the month. And on Instagram, especially 95 likes for the Shop Where Your Heart Is post. Still to come in March. So we did one post for Women's History Month, which has performed really well. We're close to 6,000 reach. We're going to now do individual posts about each business owner, including Jarvis Square businesses, and be posting more about Jarvis Square businesses. So Renee, if you have, feel free to be emailing me content, but I can also go to your website and your pages and find and be posting more. Okay. And then we need to make a really big deal about Factory Theater remounting and reopening. I think it's just really important to the street. It's a really big draw. And that's something to really make a splash about and celebrate. So we've done, I think, 3 or 4 posts, but we're going to put in a mini campaign effort to really ramp that up. The website, we've made some edits to the website. We did a little refresh this past month. Renee, you're officially a commissioner. If it's on the website and public for all. There's a map on the About page that we've replaced to include Jarvis. Number 3, we reactivated the events listing. This was something that was really a really good draw pre-COVID. And then when COVID hit, we took it down, partly because it was very confusing to find out what events were happening and what weren't in the very, very beginning. And then just there weren't that many events. So we've reactivated that, and you'll see, here I have a screenshot. So you'll see Factory Theater, you'll see events from Good to Go and Triple B, or Peckish Pig, because those are pretty regular. Athena, there's a Theo UBK. So we want to make sure it's not, too much Evanston, obviously, but Peckish Pig and Good to Go do run a lot of events. So we're really mindful of that balance. We removed businesses that are no longer here from everywhere in the site, and it was kind of buried where they were, but we just made sure they're gone. We added reds to the homepage carousel, and then we revisited headlines and made sure that they're really fresh and current and intriguing and show the benefit of being part of Howard Street. There are a few places where we made sure to include Jarvis Square, but obviously in doing the Jarvis Square website, we would make that more prevalent and considered. I realize these line graphs, like you have to dig in a little bit, but the point of this is that web traffic is doing so much better than this time last year. And I think it's hard to look at those kinds of metrics now without thinking about like the COVID kind of spikes. But in February of last year, we were at 731 visits, and we're more than double in February of this year. And looking at like the 3-month average, year to date, we're at 1,000 average visits per month. And this time last year was at 560. So we are seeing a lot more web traffic. And running Google Ads, this is really consistent month to month with impressions and clicks to the website.
Lizzie,
Yeah.
Lizzie, last month we talked about you reaching out to Loyola and Northwestern students, and I wondered if you have been working on that.
Yeah, I think the question I have comes back to like the ad budget, if that was something that we wanted to devote advertising dollars to.
Okay. Did you look into how much it would cost?
Yeah, I have the pricing.
Okay. Well, what would that be?
Yeah, I can pull it up. I looked at the beginning of the month. If it would be helpful after this meeting, I can send it all like laid out in an email, and then Cindy, Sandy, if you want to review budget remaining, we can make decisions that way.
When the students come from Northwestern and Loyola, they have so much fun on Howard Street. And I think it would really help us all as businesses that, to reach out to them and like even offer maybe 10% student discount or whatever it is, something along those lines, because they all have spending money and they want to have fun, and we're close to them.
Along those lines, I guess I wanted to bring up Tim. Tim, I talked to Tim briefly last time about the Factory Theater reopening and the fact of the idea about the SSA supporting some of the promotional costs of the reopening, because it promotes the street too so much, and it's an event, and maybe taking out an ad for the reopening in the Northwestern and the Loyola papers, and featuring Howard Street welcomes back Factory Theater, and promoting the play would be a good way to start that, and it wouldn't be that expensive. I think I had also talked to Tim about the idea that if they wanted a large poster or a banner in the window, something like that, we might be able to share some of the costs for things like that. but maybe, I think that would appeal a lot to the, like Charlotte was saying, to the college students, that particular, the Factory Theater reopening event. And it's a good way to get that started, and it would help them at the same time and help exposure to the street. So I think as long as we promoted Howard Street somehow in that, it's a good use of the money. Jim, do you have any thoughts about trying to do that?
Well, we have a lot of marketing thoughts. I'm still getting my feet wet on the SSA. As far as help goes, we'll take any that we can, but it doesn't change the fact that we would like to promote Howard Street, and would, we'd love the Howard Street logo to start adding to our sign, as we are doing a Howard Street Jarvis Square logo, so that it's right there. We are developing a student discount program for Loyola, that we want to direct at them specifically, to Charlotte's point, to do $15 tickets for students. One of my kids, Michael Jones, in the company, he said, if I was in college, $15 means I can afford a value meal at McDonald's afterwards, and that's a great night out. So that's something we're really looking into. But we'd also like to know what we can do to help promote everything that this committee is doing, because we got a big giant window, and it doesn't just need to say factory. I'd love to get other names up in our lobby, in our window, just to promote all of us. I mean, that's the whole idea, is that we're part of the community, and if we can be a big beacon in that, we'd love to be.
Great.
I don't know, is it worth, to the other commissioners, is it worth, trying to pursue the idea of taking out an ad in the next couple of weeks for the Factory Theater reopening at Loyola and or Northwestern?
Yeah, I would agree if there's enough time.
I mean, if they have the copy and they have, we can use what's on their poster or something like that, and maybe Lizzie can just add Howard Street welcomes, whatever the staff or she think or factory thinks is the good part about promoting Howard Street. As long as that's prominent in there, then I think maybe we should try that. If it's some kind of emotion, I'll be glad to, figure out how to make it. But I think it's a good opportunity. They waited long enough for their reopening, so we might as well try to make some use out of it.
I think it's a good idea, Dave.
Yeah. Well, what do we need to talk about, the size of the ad, or the seal? Is there a ceiling or an amount of money we want to, cap it at, or something like that?
Lizzie, could you put the pricing back up there again?
Oh, yeah. And I have daily Northwestern pricing too that I can rattle off,
Yeah.
but it's about the same. So these are, it looks like a print piece, but they're actually supposed to be at the website. So like the top banner is $400 a week or $600 a month, which is probably
Yeah, $600 a month is really good. And the banners are, do they still have a printed version of the Daily Northwestern?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking, I don't think anybody reads it. I think they just go on the internet.
Yeah, so the website banner ads on Daily Northwestern are $125 a week.
I think that's a bargain. Yeah, I think we should do a campaign for, for the banners. And every week change it, change it up to a different, like for a couple of weeks, it'll be Factory Theater. Next week, it could be, I'm giving students a discount on whatever, vintage clothing. And, just promote our businesses on the Daily Northwestern.
Well, let's, if we started out with factory, then Lizzie, how does this work? We would have to buy a month or buy X number of weeks, or?
Yeah, I think Charlotte's idea of having an ongoing ad, I would have the same creative up for, several weeks so people really see it.
Yeah, I think
And then
that's right. I
switching
mean,
it out.
right. I think this time what I was suggesting was basically to try to tie in with the factory theater reopening. So if we were to
Right.
vote on something for just a month and try it out, that way we'd also be able to see what kind of response, hopefully, the ad got or the theater got. So I guess I'll move that we take out a banner ad in the Northwestern and the Loyola paper for a month, and ask Cindy and Tim and Lizzie to work on the copy that's that meets both the needs, the Howard Street need and the factory theater need.
I'll second that. And also, I was thinking, the people at Daily Northwestern are pretty cool. They will, if we signed up for a year, they would give you a cut rate,
Yeah.
Well, we could certainly look at that after we try, let's try this out first. I just don't want to lose the opportunity for the factory theater reopening and the fact that that play was successful before and so on, to capitalize on all of that, to try to work it out this time. And then next month we can get a report on how it seems to be working. And if it's a matter of just sustaining it, then we can take that up next. So I guess what else? We have a motion and a second. Do we need it? I guess, Renee, is that acceptable to you?
Absolutely. I've done advertising with them and their optics are good. So we would know after 1 month how it went.
Okay, well, that's encouraging. Thank you. All right.
Yeah,
so
and
is
I'm
that-
sure everybody knows putting something in a few different places. Like normally when we do digital ads, we also coincide it with the bus shelter ads or have a few different pieces to really get the frequency and reach. So I think in the past, I know we've started with an advertising budget and goal, and then kind of presented options for how to allocate it. And then the commissioners, or if needed, if it reaches a threshold, the commissioners kind of vote on options. So I want to make sure we're kind of thinking strategically and holistically about the goal that we're setting. But that said, I don't think there's anything wrong with these digital ads, and I think it would be a great way to reach students. And it's something we've talked about a long time and have done before. We did it with the Chalk Howard Halloween event just last year, and it worked well. So
what about Loyola, the Phoenix?
As
Yeah,
I
that's what I
recall, I
just-
think we've had some difficulty with them. They're kind of flaky and don't always respond when we ask them to take our money and run our ads.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had the same experience with them.
Well, if that's the case, then I guess we can just go with the Northwestern, but that doesn't.
No, I think we should.
Seem to
I think
make-
we really need to reach out to the Loyola people.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, we'll attempt for sure, but just managing expectations. We know we've had issues with them in the past.
I spoke to one of the people over there, and they gave me a different link. It was something unusual. It was so I'm gonna forward it to you, and then you guys, and then
All right.
you guys maybe can reach out on this other way. They say there's a couple different people running the Phoenix. I mean, the one guy that I ran into from the Phoenix was really weird.
Well, the motion,
He wrote me a 3-page email, and I still didn't get my ad in there. I couldn't understand it.
okay.
All
Well, the
right.
motion includes getting a report back, on the results of this, and then we can look at, like Lizzie was saying, we can look at what's in the ad budget and see how it works. But let's try this. I mean, I think it's an attractive event. It's not like we're advertising something that doesn't have any appeal to the audiences. We're should have appeal to the audiences that we're talking about. So that's what I'd like to try out. And then we'll, everybody's got events coming up with the summer. We can we can see what we can do.
Great.
As Cindy said, I'm very sorry, I have to get off in a couple of minutes. I can stay on, I think, another 10 minutes, but I just wanted to add, and this is the one and only time I'll say this, I see it's number 6, the Jarvis Square website. I'm still confused about all of that. And so I guess I can just talk to Cindy and maybe go over and see Renee about the idea of multiple websites and so on. But that's
Well,
my only comment.
I was going to propose actually that we skip Chalk Howard and hold that till the end, because I think, you know, we've got proposals to discuss among commissioners, and I was going to ask Lizzie to sort of step out for that portion. So Lizzie, if you're able to bring up those slides on the Jarvis Square website, I'll stop screen sharing this.
Yeah, so we have talked and have a pretty good understanding of how the 2 websites would work. You've seen this like really rough mock-up before. And then we have put a proposal together for RPBA to create the site and to walk through the process. So the Howard Street site is in Squarespace as a CMS, content management system, which makes it really easy to make edits, and you don't need like a coding background to make edits to the site. So we would create a new site for Jarvis, but it would look very similar and have a similar sitemap or structure to the Howard Street site. So we'd have about, stories, events, news, contact, and then we'd figure out, you know, a prominent place and an easy place to connect the 2 sites. So we've talked about, you know, language around how close it is and encouraging people to go from one to the other, or make sure to experience both. So that could be on the homepage and maybe the contact page, for instance. So normally how we would do this is we've sort of presented a design direction and get your approval on that, and the sitemap, which could roughly be, you know, about, stories, experience, news, contact. And then from there, either A5 could develop copy, or Renee, if you have, you know, language you've used about Jarvis Square, we could work together on it. I think this quote assumes that A5 would develop copy. We've also sent a proposal that had photography. It'd be great to use professional photography on the site like we do at the Howard Street site. So then we'd have all the content. We'd have the copy, we'd have, you know, an events listing, we'd have photography, and we have the design direction sitemap. And then we load it, put it all together, present it to this group to review before it goes live, and then choose a date that it would all go live. And we run Google Ads through for Howard Street site, as you know. So we would either want to like increase the budget and run ads for Jarvis Square website, or keep it in the same budget and add in keywords for Jarvis. And then I guess the thing I'm mentioning last would actually come first is buying the domain. So I know we have Jarvis Square events, but making sure that we have, you know, Jarvis Square Chicago or whatever we could get, and link that to the site, connect that to the site once it goes live. So it's typically like a 6 to 10 week process. It can be faster, it could be slower, kind of depending on the size. I think since we've already have the Howard Street site, you know, that gets us like a good, you know, we're not just starting at square one, gets us a good jump start. And we kind of have the brand tone, which could be a little different for Jarvis Square, but, you know, we'd want to be consistent with Howard Street at the same time.
Lizzie, do we have a URL?
So that's the domain. We don't,
Yeah,
we have not bought a URL, and we probably should buy that sooner rather than later. So
Have we looked to see what's available?
yeah, I have looked to see what's available. And I remember, I think Jarvis Square Chicago is not available. Jarvis Square was not available. Jarvis Square Chicago, because right now we have howardstreetchicago.com. So it would be nice if it was jarvissquarechicago.com. Chicago Jarvis Square. So I think what we would do is just pull, I mean, we could list, 6 or 8 or 10 that are available and then choose the 1 or 2 that we should buy.
Lizzie,
Well-
can you put back up the design, the other screen with the, no, yes, yeah, that's it. Okay. Could we use that Jarvis Square on Howard Street as a possibility? I mean, I don't think, I know that I've asked in the past about how this is working out and whether there's going to be discussion about designing this. I have not been asked to be, as a commissioner, to be in any discussions about this. And I am concerned about just the dual identity. I know that Jarvis Square is very interested in not being subsumed by Howard Street, but vice versa also. And I don't know, as far as how the funding is coming from and so on. So the more that there's a link, I don't know a lot about the technology. So if there was some way to really promote the more that the connection is promoted in here, the more satisfied, I don't know if satisfied is the right word, but the more at ease I'll be about approving this sort of thing. I just want to, make that right now. So again, maybe the URL is a way to do that also. Because getting somebody, we've got all of these whatever they are, impressions, exposures on the website now, and the numbers are going up. But the numbers may be going up, frankly, also because we're including Jarvis Square. And to its credit, there are a lot of people who know about it and are interested in what goes on there. When they're separated again, I think we need to watch the numbers carefully, because to the extent that one was building up the other, that's something that the SSA is responsible for. So that's my concern.
So I think the first step is approval to move forward on the site, and then we would present design directions that maybe they're really close to each other, they're sort of close to each other, and they're not very close to each other, like Jarvis and Howard Street relation. But I also want to, we've done some of that already with the graphic identity and decided, we did want them to look more alike, but not be the same. So I wouldn't want to duplicate that, but build off of it. So I think all of that can be considered. And I think it's really helpful to consider things like that when you are looking at it, and you can actually oh, I like this direction. I like A with a little bit of B, or I like this element of C, but I want the direction of A, instead of kind of keeping it theoretical. So we could build more of that into the process.
Well, is it clear that one of the things to build in is a maximum amount of connection? Because if nobody looks at both websites, they're never going to know whether the colors are the same or not.
So I'm hearing you say that you want the Jarvis Square and Howard Street look and feel and websites to be closely related and easy to get from one to the other. Is that right?
I want them to be as explicit as is acceptable to all the people involved.
Got it.
Yeah, and I think the initial feeling, with going this route is that it'll tie the two websites together and almost make them feel like a single website. But then when you're on the Howard Street content, you have the yellow and, different photography versus blue and Jarvis photography for Jarvis content. But the websites are pretty well intertwined.
Yeah, and you could picture right under the hero image, it could say Jarvis Square is 2 blocks from Howard Street, a 5-minute walk, and accessible on the red line. Learn more about Howard Street here. And it could be the same on the Howard Street site. So we could make it based on the site map, based on where it's placed on the site, based on the imagery and language we use, we can make them really connected.
Are there any other areas in the city like this?
That's a good question, Renee.
Because then we could go and check their websites out. I don't know that, but the answer to that.
I have to
something
say, I don't
that-
know, I
yeah.
don't know, yeah, I don't know of any other areas that have different websites for their different commercial corridors. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Someplace like Andersonville just says Clark Street, right? That's all they deal with.
Well, no, actually, you're right, Sandy, because they do some Broadway too sometimes.
Now Broadway is the Edgewater
Is
Chamber of
Edgewater,
Commerce.
but sometimes I see them, cross. But I think
Because
you're right.
they have members from both, like they have, since so much of what they do is membership based, like there are businesses on Broadway that join the Andersonville Chamber because they think it's like a better chamber or whatever. So that's why that happens.
Yeah, but I think Sandy's right. Nothing comes to my mind quickly either. There may be something out there, but nothing comes to mind quickly.
Yeah, I was only thinking it because I know when designing a website, they're like, go see websites you like and tell us what you like. So if there was anyone like that, where we could check it out.
Well, and that's a really good point. It could be like two sister companies or like two branches of it doesn't necessarily have to be SSAs or community branding. We could look at other examples in other industries that have like relationships.
Or maybe other cities too, even. There might be places like this that are area wide instead of a specific strip.
Well, I was thinking that in Boys Town, there's a lot of different neighborhoods that like to link to Boys Town. The communities that are close to Boys Town that are trying to get that business. So we might want to look at their website, their SSA website, and see who's linking to them.
Sandy and Renee, with what you're talking about, maybe actually a place like Evanston or, some smaller suburb that has more than one business area do they do anything, anyway, that's a good point, Renee and Sandy, is we should try to find other examples. And I'll look around also and see if I can spot anything and send it in.
Well, all that being said, are we at a point where we're, somebody's wanting to make a motion to move this forward? Because I think it would behoove us to get something up and running, by summer, now that, events are getting scheduled, everybody's trying to promote stuff, the weather's getting warmer.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to to allocate some funds to link the two websites together.
That's a good
And
way to put
okay.
it. To develop linked websites.
Mhm.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. I'll continue to hold the Chuck Howard thing till the end. The next piece of this was banners and photography. We had talked about doing maybe another round of still photos this spring to get businesses that may have opened since we did it last, so that we can get some banners replaced, especially now that we've had a handful of businesses that have closed. We've had some new folks come in. I know there's been some leadership changes at organizations that are already here. The factory banners that we have now feature people that I think have left the organization quite a while ago. So it's probably time to do some more of that photography. Lizzie, you had sent us a proposal. Thanks for that. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. But I think, another day or half day shoot is probably warranted.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We did include it. It's the same pricing that we've done the last few years. So nothing that is new.
Yeah, I think it was what, $1,500 for the photographer to come out and.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Well, I'm sorry, now I have to run. Sorry. Thanks very much,
Yep.
everybody. I'll try to catch
Thanks
up
for
with
being
you
here.
afterwards.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so we had, it would be a total of 3,000 for a 1-day shoot.
And in that $3,000, what exactly would we be looking at getting?
So we would identify the people, schedule the day. So we do it all in one day. So it's arrive, set up, shoot, take down, go. Arrive, set up, shoot, take down, go. So coordinating that with the photographer and with all the subjects. So it all lines up. Plus pre-production. So which some photographers that have worked with us before kind of know the feel of Howard Street, but making sure the photographer is prepared with the kind of images we're trying to capture. So all that's pre-production. Then we would do the 1-day shoot. So it's in one day we get 5 to 6 subjects photographed, and we could do a couple outdoor shots too of, we've done the murals or planters and things in the past.
Okay, what about
and then
like
post-production?
refreshing some of the images of like my image is for my store is pretty cool. I like it a lot, but maybe it needs to be refreshed. Are you considering some of those things?
Yeah, so when we choose the 5 to 6 subjects, that's the kind of thing that we do. So Sandy and I will look through, these are new businesses. There's like the new clothing boutique. We don't have, there's some we don't have that we would want to make sure to capture.
We've never had the Tally Ho. We've never had Caribbean Bakery. I want to make sure that if those guys are interested in being part of it, that they have the opportunity. And then we've got new people like Fabulous Doll Boutique
Thank you.
and Legacy Barber College that weren't here when we did the last round of photography.
And then we also consider who needs to be reshot. So like Factory Theater, I think the people we did professional photography for in 2018 are no longer either part of it or in the same roles. And same with what you're saying, Charlotte. So we would kind of qualify, how outdated, is it? Where for that, it's like outdated. And some, it'd be nice to have new photography of Lost Eras for sure. So we see based on, if it's a 1-day shoot or 2-day shoot, how many slots we have, and then reach out to everybody. Sometimes somebody's not available, and that we go to the next in the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds right. Sounds good.
Great.
Great,
Do we need to vote on that?
I think technically we should, but I know David took off, so. Somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion to approve the 1-day shoot and refresh the banners. And oh my God. And also to include the new businesses that haven't been covered.
Great.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, folks. All right, that sort of wraps up most of these items because we don't actually have the BIP application for horseplay. Lizzie, I did want to ask you to sort of take off while we sort of go over where we're at with the Chalk Howard proposals, and we'll catch up later this week. But thank you for being here and for presenting. We'll connect about scheduling and everything that you need from us for the newspaper ads, and then also the scheduling and moving forward on that next photo shoot.
Great, thank you. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks.
everybody's time today.
Thanks, Lizzie. Appreciate it.
All right, so the Chalk Howard RFP for event producer was out while I was away. It closed on Monday. We only did get one proposal that was from Star Events. So I'll share their documentation with the group in just a second once I find the proper tab. So here's what they sent us. So for the August 6th date, they had bid on this, I think, previously in prior years, but the decision was made to go with A5 and 5 grain. 5 grain's no longer available, and so A5 wasn't able to find, I guess, another event producer to work with for this. So we issued our own RFP for a company. Star Events was the only one that applied. We contacted about a dozen different event firms, but just because it's so late, a lot of them are already booked up or declined to bid. So they're, you know, they shared all their team bios. It's a women-led organization. They do festivals all over the city, including, you know, other arts-focused ones like Sundays on State and Southport Art Fest. They included references, key objectives, and so scope of service includes sort of the general logistics of the festival, vendor management, getting the permits, insurance, all of that stuff, as well as marketing, which we thought was pretty cool. Artist relations, day of staffing. They do some stuff with sponsorship, which wasn't really, you know, something that we've done with this historically, but it's, you know, maybe something that we're open to. I'm going to talk with them more about it. Day of security, regulation and insurance, venue map, and here's where they talk about marketing, because they've got sort of bulk contracts for marketing, you know, at some of these, you know, bigger places like the outdoor ads on buses and CTA, plus, you know, social and web, everything. Their total proposal was about 20,000 for everything. So that's here. So yeah, 19,995. So yeah, it's about 20,000 with a 20% commission on any sponsorship or net profit, but we don't usually operate it as a fundraising festival. And I've told them that. So like this may kind of be a moot point, but it's just sort of their standard agreement. So we don't have a draft contracts from them yet, but I let them know that we would be meeting today to sort of talk through, you know, what direction we want to go. With this, I'll also share the proposal that we got from A5, which their total, you know, was 22,000 and didn't include any of like the event logistics and stuff, because once they submitted this, they realized, oh, well, our event producer that we partner with as a subcontractor wasn't available. So they actually can't do the event logistics or any of this. So it's more expensive and doesn't include a lot of the scope that we actually need. So I think given that and the fact that Star Events is the only bidder, if we do want to, you know, still move forward with Jock Howard, I think Star Events is probably the way that we're going to have to go to do that. So Sandy, anything to add?
So I just want to add, I think we need to circle back to Star Events and just find out what their portion of marketing means. So the A5 proposal that we got was really marketing the event for $22,000. And since they already market for us, I would hope that whatever marketing materials Star Events creates, including social media and all that kind of stuff, that A5 would continue to post on Howard Street and, you know, Jarvis and all that kind of stuff. So I think we just need to find out from from Star Events, what exactly is it. I mean, they do have this, you know, this marketing plan, but I think we need to talk to them and see if they'd be willing to work in collaboration with A5. But we're not going to sign that A5 contract for $22,000 to do marketing if it's included in Star Events' plan to do the whole event. And the only other thing I want to say is that don't forget, this $22,000 is not the cost of the event. It's the cost for them to produce the event. We still have to pay for all of the equipment, for all of the materials, for all, if we decide to do any kind of posters or CTA, you know, whatever. That's all at an additional cost.
And bands.
Yeah,
Right,
and
all the
artists
bands,
and all of their expenses.
And when we did the artists last time, if you remember, they weren't local. And now the only one local was Nate. And now he's not local anymore because he lives in Florida. So, you know, we flew them in, we paid for their airfare, we paid for their hotel, you know, for them to come for the weekend. So it was a pretty expensive endeavor.
How much did it cost us the last time for everything?
Somewhere around $75,000.
Yeah, 75 to 80. And that's what's budgeted in our annual budget for FY22. you know, we wrote that budget and got that budget approved by this commission and by the city, figuring 75 for Chalk Howard, and then leaving another 10 or 20 for the little one-offs like Halloween and you know, providing some funding for some of the Jarvis events and some of the other community things that are kind of going on. So this, you know, has historically been the bulk of the special event budget. But we did increase the total budget for special events to provide for some funding for stuff in addition to Chalk Howard as well.
And can I just make one other note, just because we're talking about the budget? So normally we put money in carryover, and for those new to the SSA, that means that we have money in the bank, and when we do our budget, we budget over the anticipated revenue because we have money in the bank. So we kind of put that into the budget as carryover. Last year, we don't always spend the carryover, but it's there as like a cushion. Last year, we didn't get as much revenue as we anticipated, and we spent all of our carryover. So we spent about $95,000 out of our bank account. So our bank account is now kind of down. So I don't want anybody to, you know, kind of count on that. So we have to be cautious of our expenses and know that we may not get all the revenue that the city thinks we're going to get. And we don't have as big of a cushion. We've got about $45,000, I think, in the bank account right now.
Is Karen from the city okay with us spending this kind of money on an event?
Oh yeah, she loves the
Yeah.
idea of us spending money on events.
Okay.
And compared to what some of the other
Encourages.
SSAs do, it's not huge because it's only a 1-day, you know, festival, you know, and she's got other SSAs that do, you know, multi-day things, but
I
yeah,
don't know if
what
you
about-
remember, Charlotte, she came to the Chalk event in 2019
Yeah.
when we did it and just thought it was amazing and loved it. And she's definitely a proponent of events for SSA funds.
Is
Has
this
anybody with Star Entertainment before?
what's
We
that?
did. We've worked with them. We've they helped us with our Clark Street Festival back in the day when we did the festival on Clark Street.
Oh, so they're
And
pretty good, right?
and yeah, and we also, they were the ones who helped us create the Polar Palooza event that we did with Loyola for a couple of years. If you remember, we tried doing a winter festival in December, and we did it, I think, for 3 consecutive years, and Star Events did that one from start to finish.
So they sound like they're pretty recommended, you know?
Yeah, they're one of the more popular event production companies among SSA managing organizations.
And-
you know, they're pretty well
and-
regarded.
Yeah, and just one more note that since we're recording this, get it on the record that we were very conscious of the fact that people in the community feel that the Chalk event was not a community event for the community. They felt that there were people that were kind of, you know, left out of the planning. And we were very conscious. We did a lot of research looking for event companies that were owned by people of color. And we sent them our RFP. We went through, we did quite a bit of research and nobody responded. So this is a women-led company, but they're all white.
Mhm.
But we tried.
Yeah.
And they
I-
know, and I talked to Michelle about this and we told her that we might need to get some input from some of the people in the community about what they'd like to see for this event.
Well, I think Star Entertainment sounds pretty good, and it's gonna save $2,000, and you've had good experience with them before, so why not reach out to them?
Is that a
Do
motion,
we
Charlotte?
know-
Sorry.
Do we know, like, I know we talked about the governor wants to give money funding for street events and stuff. Do we know anything about that yet? Or probably not till next year.
No, it's closed already. It was open in August. Sherry, we didn't know anything about it. Sherry looked at it. There were like 5 Sherry's behind me here. So
All
Sure.
of the entities that receive funding, there are about 8. They are like Navy Pier, Peggy Note Art Museum. So it's not that we couldn't have applied. I don't have, and they didn't give, they had $10 million. They gave away 3, but it's currently closed. Sorry.
So yeah, we looked it up, Renee, and as soon as he
Okay.
said that, I'm like, oh, what? Money for street festivals? Are you kidding? You know,
Right.
but it wasn't, yeah, we didn't know about it. So it was open in August. It wasn't open, excuse me, open very long. And like she said, Navy Pier, Peggy Notebart, that's kind of who got that money. So
Got it.
So, yeah,
Then I guess I would motion for us to circle back with Star Events to move forward.
I'll second that.
all right. Cool.
was there a vote?
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Thanks. All right. Thanks. I'll follow up. I had tried to call Michelle at Star Events yesterday, but I missed her. But I'll follow up with her hopefully this afternoon
And
to
can
get
we
the ball
schedule a-
rolling on that.
Can we schedule a meeting, Cindy?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there's somebody from like north of Howard that we want to include or something. Well, we'll talk.
Like, which organization were you thinking of, Sandy, from north of Howard? Anybody in particular?
I don't know. What do you think? I wasn't thinking of anybody in particular. What do you think?
I
was
was
thinking-
my first thought that comes to mind is either probably Charles Hardwick from Howard area or Ann from Family Matters.
Well, there's a new guy too named Mark Ersfeld who may be interested in, getting involved a little bit. So we can talk to him.
Who is he with?
He's with Howard area. It's a
Yeah,
real
him I
cool
haven't
guy.
met. My usual contact over there has been Charles.
Yeah.
And prior to that,
Charles-
Maxine Bailey, but she retired.
Charles gets so busy, I'll
Yeah.
flag him down, but Mark is the assistant director now over there. And he used to be a festival performer. He
Yeah,
worked
Oh.
in social services, yeah. He was a fire eater.
neat. Yeah, I actually have a meeting on
Awesome.
Friday with all of the North of Howard orgs, so I'll
Oh,
mention
maybe
it.
you could
when I'm
talk
there.
to them about it then. Maybe you
Yeah.
could, at your meeting, you could talk to all of them at once and see
Yeah.
if they have any ideas.
Yeah, that'd be
That's a
good.
great group. That's a good idea.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take off.
Yeah, no worries.
Think-
I also have a meeting at 10.
Yeah, and I'm headed into the office once we wrap. But yeah, thanks everybody. I have Jarvis Alfresco update on here, but we're still sorting that out now. More to come. It's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot,
All right.
everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Good seeing you. Bye now.
Hope to see you all
Bye.
back during the
Yes.
next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so exciting. All right. Thanks a lot,
Bye.
folks. All right, bye-bye.